Some say just hearing the legends will make you the next victim. Some urban legends find their way to us through campfire stories, while others might be passed down from our elders as warnings. They warn us away from stumbling into one of those dark places where not even the moonlight can reach us. Tonight, I'm bringing you 5 more urban legends, each one from a different state. Let's get started. Some of you may remember we visited a gateway to hell before in my second urban legends video. Well, it seems tonight we found ourselves another entrance. Apparently the 7th entrance. Stol Cemetery and the abandoned church that used to rest next to it is located in the tiny, nearly forgotten Kansas town of Stull. There's not much left of the tiny village, save a few houses, the newer church, and about 20 residents. The Stol Cemetery has gained an ominous reputation due to the urban legends involving Satan, the occult, and the purported gateway to hell. The legends say that these stories have been linked to Stull for more than 100 years, but none of them made it into print until the 1970s. In November of 1974, an article appeared in the University of Kansas student newspaper that spoke of a number of strange occurrences in the Stull churchyard. According to the article, Stull was haunted by legends of diabolical, supernatural happenings, and the legends asserted that the cemetery was one of the 2 places on Earth where the devil appears in person 2 times each year. The piece also went on to say that most students learned of Stull's diabolical reputation from their grandparents and older individuals, but many of them also claimed to have first-hand encounters with things that could not be explained. One student claimed to be grabbed on the arm by something unseen. Others spoke of unexplained memory loss when visiting the place. A lot of the urban legends and stories revolve around the old church, which was mysteriously knocked down in 2002. Although the owners of the property claim to have no idea what happened, it's likely they became tired of the rumors and constant legend trippers and tore the place down themselves. The visitors to the church claimed that stairs opened up on Halloween and the Spring Equinox and they led all the way down to hell. If you're curious if there's any truth to these claims, well, according to the residents of Stull, they had never heard of any of these claims until the article in the 1970s. They were bemused, annoyed, and downright angered that such things were being said about their town. The pastor of the new church in Stull, located right across the street from the old one, indicated that he believed the stories to be the invention of the students at the university. So let me know down in the comments, do you think this story is pure fantasy concocted to sell papers, or do you think that there's a dark secret hidden beneath the rubble of the old church? Around 11 p.m. one August night in 1955, 8 people stumbled into the Hopkinsville, Kentucky police station in a state of panic.
"We need help," one gasped. "We've been fighting them for nearly 4 hours."
The story begins with a man named Billy Ray Taylor, who was visiting his friend Elmer Lucky Sutton at his farmhouse in the tiny town of Kelly. Billy Ray went outside to collect some rainwater from the well when something streaked across the sky and caught his attention. Taylor later described the silvery object as real bright, with an exhaust all colors of the rainbow. Panicked, he fled indoors and told the others, which included his wife and the Sutton family, that he'd just seen a UFO. After being laughed out of the room, the night returned to its former quiet. Until the sound of dogs barking brought Lucky and Billy Ray out the back door, where they saw a strange glow, in the midst of which they spied a small humanoid creature. Over the next few hours, the battle began. The aliens drew close and then retreated. The family fought them off the best they could with the weapons they had at the farm, but they seemed to flip up into the trees when the humans tried to shoot him. One even reached down and grabbed Taylor's hair. Finally, when all seemed quiet, several people piled into their cars and fled into town to beg the police for help. 4 city police, including the chief of police, Russell Greenwell, drove out to the Sutton farmhouse to see what had happened. Aliens or not, the crowd at the police station had seemed genuinely terrified. One man had a pulse of 140 beats per minute. "These aren't the kind of people who normally run to the police for help," Greenwell noted. But police didn't find any obvious evidence of little silver men. The validity of the Kelly-Hopkinsville encounter was questioned immediately. Some people doubted the honesty of the Suttons, and the neighbors dismissed the whole affair as a drunken debacle as the result of too much moonshine. The leading theory is that the family was in a life-or-death fight with great horned owls, which are nocturnal, fly silently, have yellow eyes, and aggressively defend their nests. Although to this day, ufologists claim that this was a genuine encounter with beings who came from somewhere very far away. The story of the Ruguru is similar to the werewolf that we all know and love from the classic Universal monster movies. There are a few major differences between the werewolf and the Ruguru. It's kind of an amalgamation of the French loup-garou or loup-garou and the native stories of shape-shifting creatures of North America. The stories vary from person to person, but the general idea is that the Ruguru is a half-wolf, half-man hybrid who can change at will rather than being chained to the cycles of the moon like your classic werewolf. The bayou is a terribly dangerous place, especially at night, so it's no surprise the story was birthed from a place as mystical and magical as Louisiana. According to one story I read of a man who grew up in Acadiana, when I was little, the Ruguru was described to me, according to someone who had seen him, of course, as some kind of ogre who could change shape or even make himself invisible. He was over 7 feet tall, but with a head that was too small for the rest of his body. He lived deep in the bayous and loved to eat disobedient children who got lost there. They say he's been there forever, and thus no one knows his true age. Some view the Ruguru as a type of genetic disorder that is turned on by some type of trigger. After the human body enlarges, it craves fresh, raw meat, which is scary because someone you walk by or live next to could be this beast. Many tourists visit Manchac Swamp and report that they often hear a growl or howl in the distance. Since wolves are not common in the swamp, many conclude that it must be the Ruguru lurking and roaming around at night. And those who do encounter the creature may never live to tell the story. Just off of Route 2 in northern Maine, you'll find the most haunted place in the entire state, the Haynesville Woods and the rural and deadly Route 2A. Running through Haynesville Woods, this was a popular trucking route prior to the construction of I-95. Hauling potatoes out of Maine, this route can be extremely dangerous in the winter months, especially when you reach a particular curve that's almost 90 degrees, and even to this day, accidents are reported. With such a high number of fatalities among drivers, it's no surprise that this is one of the most haunted places in all of Maine, if not the most haunted place. One story is of a young woman that's seen on the side of the road. Some travelers claim she is seen running along the side of the road, clearly in trouble, or that she'll simply appear in front of the car crying and begging for help. When offered a ride, she tells people that she and her husband had been in a car accident and that her husband needs help. But when the driver reaches the end of the road, the woman vanishes, leaving only a chill in the air. According to the legend, the woman was a young bride, and on the day of her wedding, she and her husband were in an accident in the woods. Her husband died instantly, but she managed to escape the wreckage. As she wandered down the winding road, she succumbed to the cold and froze to death. Another tale focuses on a young child who is also spotted on the side of the road. When anyone stops to see if she needs help or offer her a ride, they're shocked to find that she's disappeared without a trace, so they continue on their way. No one knows exactly who the child is, but according to reports, on August 22nd, 1967, two 10-year-old girls were struck by a tractor trailer and died while walking along the road. The road is so famous that in 1965, Dick Curless, a trucker turned country singer, wrote a song about it called A Tombstone Every Mile. Often the Goat Man of Prince George's County is associated with many of the other various Lover's Lane monsters. Those monsters known for attacking the parked cars of teenagers who are doing more than just talking about the weather. However, encounters with this creature have included people of all ages and during the most innocent situations. It's reported that he's banged up automobiles and that people have set their dogs on him, sometimes with tragic results. He appears exclusively near wooded and desolate places, and anybody who searches for him finds nothing but deer. This satyr-like creature, not unlike the Hellenic deity Pan, is usually described as being human from the waist up and goat from the waist down. Experts at the nearby university say the stories have been around for hundreds of years, but they really kick into high gear around the 50s and 60s, with the Goat Man having his heyday in the 70s, probably because of the dog. This next part has a circumstance in which a dog lost his life, so if you're not okay with hearing something like that, skip ahead to the time on screen now. Alright, so in 1971, a puppy named Ginger met a grisly end in the city of Bowie. A reporter for the Washington Post covered the incident, writing, "Ginger, a sprightly mongrel who resembled a German shepherd, has been found decapitated cleanly at the neck. The body is not found." Although the story suggests that perhaps the dog had been hit by a train, many of the locals blame the Goat Man. The Goat Man has competing origin stories. A variation on the scientific mishap story holds that a doctor named Stephen Fletcher confessed to creating it with the DNA of a goat and his assistant, William Lotsford, two names clearly taken from the locations of Goat Man sightings on Fletchertown and Lotsford roads. Other versions say that he is a Bigfoot-like creature or an evil spirit from Native American beliefs named Oki, and one says that he's an angry goat herder out for revenge on teenagers who killed his beloved goats. Another theory is that the stories began as a way to keep kids from wandering too far from home at a time when the area was largely rural. And some say just hearing the legend will make you a target for the Goat Man, so be careful when walking alone. You might just be his next victim. My favorite part about researching these urban legends isn't just finding legends that I'd never heard before, although that's cool. It's finding personal accounts from real people that tell their stories. It makes these stories so much more than fiction. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you know anybody who'd be into this channel, please send it their way. Want to keep on watching? Then check out this video of the dark tale of the cursed chain email. Well, thanks everybody. Good night.
Tiger with the subscribe.